Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for visiting Seavus. Thank you for showing interest in hearing and understanding what we're gonna talk about this afternoon. My name is, as announced, Dejan Talevski. I'm a senior project manager with Seavus. I'm stationed in Skopje. I've been in the telecom industry for a bit shy from 20 years right now, and looking forward to sharing some interesting voyage that we had with jointly with Globalstar. I'll start with some basic slides, and I will focus on what we do in Seavus in our telecom portfolio. Just a couple of slides. I'll promise I'll be quick, because I'm pretty sure that you want to talk about and you want to understand about projects, about cooperation, and so forth. So within Seavus, we have a dedicated telecom division. Headcount right now a bit north of 450 people, as we call ourselves telecom subject matter experts, dispersed primarily around Europe, Southeast Europe, North Europe, Central Europe, and sorry, slide just around Europe, and currently 16 offices, but that's always dynamic. We tend to be present in more of the Seavus offices, and of course working jointly with our sister companies from our Arcoma Digital. Okay, I'm gonna do this transition very quickly. So, okay, what we do, we provide services. We wanna disrupt the traditional way of working. So normal projects, you know, like everyday cooperation, which is a thing of the past. We want to move in the digital transformation industry by establishing a relationship, by showcasing our experience and our competence on the whole OSS BSS portfolio. So in terms of expertise, and we are, let's say, more than capable to serve projects basically in all bits and pieces of the OSS BSS IT application stack for telcos, whether that's billing, whether that's OSS or whatever. And of course, we also support processes and methodologies of working, into whether that's agile way of working, whether that's automation or project management, and so forth. But again, we go in details on the next slides. These are just introduction slides. What we are showcasing today is we want to present ourselves as a trusted and reliable partner. We've been involved in the digital. Now, of course, there's a lot of hype about digital transformation and so forth. We are lucky and we are proud to say that we have been on that train for a while now. We have been cooperating with partners and telco operators all around Europe. So, okay, these are some of the countries, of course. We are not going to show logos here. That's not the type of event. We're showing countries, but at the heart, of course, is our experience that we've had with the Globalstar United States, one of our most, let's say, one of our biggest partners that we have on the telco domain. Okay, a bit more transition. So what do we do in terms of digital transformation services? Only 2 more marketing slides, and then we'll go in some projects and some experiences. Basically, in terms of services, we cover all the whole wheel, the whole chain of a portfolio. We are involved right from the design and consulting. We create software, we test software, we deliver software, we manage it. We manage the whole process. Now, it's a big slide. Sorry, it's an interesting wheel. We're not gonna go, of course, and read all the topics. Of course, if there is interest, definitely we will touch base on some of the points here. And in terms of the project workflow, where are we engaged? We can be engaged right from the start. We can be engaged from the process of business analysis, solution design, architecture setup, and so forth. We are involved in the process of development. We can be involved in the process of testing, quality assurance, of course, release management, but also we maintain and we help maintain our code and our deliveries. So we provide also maintenance services. So again, these were general introductory slides on the Seavus Telecom portfolio. Again, after the session and during the Q&A session, please just ask whatever question or where you have maybe some point of interest. Okay, and now we're going to be talking on how we succeeded across the Atlantic. You know, usually we've been a more European-focused company in the past. I mean, I've been with Seavus. This is my 9th year now starting with Seavus in project management. Yeah, we've been running transatlantic or some exotic projects, but most of the references were Europe. So we had the pleasure of 18 actually, of starting cooperation with Globalstar, and it's not a one-off. So it was. We're happy to showcase that it was not a one-off like cooperation, one project. Thank you very much. But it's been a running cooperation and a trusting relationship. Sorry. As I've mentioned, I'll give you now a bit on info, how we started, how the cooperation grew, which areas, which services we've been covering. About Globalstar. So Globalstar is a worldwide satellite communication operator. My colleague and friend Robert will give you more details on that. And we started at 2018. We started as a system integrator that was called upon to help with the BSS transformation project. We started, of course, with some minimal interaction in terms of solution design, architecture, where Globalstar was undergoing a major transformation project. So they had a legacy BSS and billing system, and they were looking to moving to a integrated BSS stack. So we started. We show our worth on that project, and basically throughout the years, so cooperation grew. A success story opens new doors, opens new possibilities. So from BSS, we got involved in testing services. We got involved in front-end portal development. We got involved in Java backend development. Now, in the timeline, it's very interesting to show that we, of course, our first and most complex project, the BSS transformation, was delivered with absolute success in 2020. I'm gonna go a bit later but it lasted for 1.5 years, and we're talking about a complex billing and BSS migration from legacy system to the other. Usually those are multi-year projects, but I mean, we pulled our sleeves and it was delivered in 1.5 years of involvement. I'm not going to go in all the technologies in details on what we have been doing. As I've mentioned, if you identify something, we can go in details maybe later during the interaction. Now, okay, this is a short summary of the digital transformation projects that we've delivered currently successfully so far. So I'm just going to go in the scope of the projects, while the benefits and outcome, that will be Robert's part. Of course, the flagship project, what we covered was the BSS migration. Again, what we are very proud, delivered in 1.5 years. So from full scratch, we delivered a target billing system. It is an integrated billing, CRM, and all the appropriate elements. So it's not only a billing system. We delivered, we developed, we customized it, and then, of course, we migrated the legacy billing system to the new target BSS system. On portals, we have been developing on the front-end side. We have been developing and we have been re-engineering. So legacy portals, because as Robert will showcase in his presentation, they heavily rely on portals because they are a truly digital company. The human-to-human interaction is, of course, you're a satellite operator. You're not present in every city or in every country in the world. We have been there to set up end-to-end testing methodology, set up test automation processes. We have been involved. We have also delivered a mobile IoT app. Of course, Globalstar is now, as this is an industry trend, they are focusing more and more on the IoT field as well. We have been delivering also backend and standalone desktop applications for let's say management of the satellite modem devices. You know that nowadays you need to have a good and quality app to control, to manage your device, because, as I've said, everything is online and everything must be digital. How we did it, and these are the topics that we want to focus mostly. The first one is trust, and I would say that this is the most important aspect of our cooperation. In general, within Seavus, our focus and our goal is not to work with on client-vendor terms. Our focus is to work on partner terms. I mean, we did a, let's say, history analysis this morning, and in this moving in the 5th year, we've never actually had a situation where we were invoking administrative terms, legal terms, conditions, and so forth. So partners don't do that. You share the responsibility. You share. Partners should share the weight. I mean, and even on both sides of the story. Of course, as a vendor, you want to have maximized profit, you want to maximize delivery, but on the other side, as a service delivery provider, you want to optimize cost, you want to, let's say, drive the cost down. So even in that balance, we always found a common ground and solution. So that's the first topic about trust between on a partnership level. The second point is, now probably, okay, you're industry professionals, you know that digital transformation projects are about the people. It's not an IT project. And digital transformation projects must be supported, must be owned by the whole organization. So in that sense, we have the trust from Globalstar that our teams will deliver the goal, the scope which is asked from us. And at the same time, we are manifesting and we are sharing that trust on a project level throughout the organization. Because a digital transformation project, as I've mentioned, it's not an IT project. Must be supported by all the stakeholders. Must, like we'll go on some of the projects. You need to have support from marketing. You need to have support from customer care. You need to have support from, let's say, VP or C-level management and so forth. So you need to build the trust horizontally and vertically. Otherwise, if you miss any of these pieces of the jigsaw, then a digital transformation project is going to fail. It's inevitable. Because from the people that deliver it to the people that use it, throughout the whole chain, there must be trust. So we are being trusted by Globalstar, we trust Globalstar, but we are also sharing that trust across that organization. And okay, this is a specific case for Globalstar, but that's our goal as well on all of the projects that we are being involved. Second is delivery. So the cooperation model that we have is not a simple outsourcing model, and it goes way further than that. So we are not just outsourcing FTEs and, okay, you have this expert, use it on a project, find him, let's say, where you find fit for him. No, we are delivering teams and we are delivering service. So that is one of the differentiators that enables us, let's say, to own the project, but also for Globalstar to trust us, because they trust that if they have a team, then they will have a good delivery. And commitment. The delivery model of putting teams rather than people puts also responsibility. We own our code, and I mean we, Globalstar and Seavus. Everybody owns. It's a joint ownership, and when teams are working in that manner, then they're committed. They strive for improvement. It's not about, okay, I'm going to do my job. At the end of the month, I'm going to submit my time report. Everybody's happy, pay, end of story, and the cycle goes on and on and on. So we don't want to work in that manner. We want the teams to feel appreciated and to accept the ownership, because if they have the ownership of their code, of their work, then you motivate them to always strive for improvement, and that's what we have been doing. So, couple of more slides, and practically this is one of the most important slides. This is a screenshot, a showcase of our BSS transformation project and the delivery centers that were involved in this BSS transformation project. it's not been changed. I think that we are not delivering services from Mumbai and Melbourne, only occasionally. A couple of years ago, if you would have asked someone, okay, I'm going to work for a US client, everybody was like, oh, that's time zone problem. I'm gonna work late. How are we gonna manage it, or vice versa? If you're gonna tell a U.S. customer, European company will be providing, oh, that's too early for me. How are we gonna manage that? Then I don't see them. I don't have interaction with them. I don't know what's your experience, but usually people were very reluctant and are trying to get away from transatlantic projects. So what we did, by exploiting delivery and commitment, we were transparent with all of the teams, and we shared the vision. This is the project. This is the scope. This is the target. But also, we were transparent to be open for finding a model for cooperation, not putting a framework. You're going to work in those working hours, full stop. You're going to need to fulfill something. Of course, remote work helped us. We need to be honest on that. But this kind of transparency and this kind of openness built trust, and teams are motivated. Why? Because you're not putting them frame, you're giving them guidelines on how to do the job. What we did, we planned overlap of working hours. We were not targeting every day from that hour to that hours, but we set up a model, couple of hours this day, couple of hours that day, and so forth. We carefully, let's say, choose on which dates we need to talk, we need to synchronize, because synchronization is key. Work should never stop. When you're working across time zones, the work never stops. So we found, let's say, we combined our work that European teams work, have a joint session, sync with our US colleagues continue the work, hand off in the morning, European teams get up, they have work. So if there is a, let's say, stone in this wheel and it stops, then you have a day off. Then you have, and if you have a full team for a full day that is not working, or cannot deliver, whether that's in Europe or United States, that ultimately has costs, but also practically you lose 2 days in your project delivery. So that's why we insisted on a good synchronization and on a workflow model. The work should never stop. Handover across time zones. And talk is good. Usually we always say that avoid conferencing, avoid chit chats and so forth. So we set up a model on optimized conferencing. Selected dates on which we have sync sessions. Everybody knows them. So like European teams work 4 or 5 o'clock, up to 6 o'clock in the afternoon, only on selected days. US colleagues start around 8 to 9 o'clock. Synchronization is key, and transparent and open sharing. If there is a problem, needs to be shared transparently and immediately. So as I've mentioned, doesn't stop the wheel, doesn't stop the work, should flow continuously. We've been working like this for this is our 5th year. We are proud to say it's been a huge success. Teams and the cohesion between across the Atlantic have been impeccable. And this is something that we can share, we can, let's say, we can build upon. Of course, again, all experiences or everything that you need or you would like to ask, feel free to discuss later. Okay, so, and coming to that slide about delivery. So, as I've said, teams are not just some number or some person that is a FTE. We deliver teams throughout the whole. Okay, graphic is a bit off here, but in the whole delivery model, the team owns their delivery model, and the team is involved in all the stages. That that is a recipe for a successful delivery. If you have, let's say, if you have a cut somewhere, or if some of these items is cut, then delivery has its problems. But on the other side, having this model of delivery, actually, okay, it's not beneficial only for us, for Seavus. It's beneficial because it takes away some of the pressure and overload and overhead that our US colleagues have, because they are interacting with a team, they have a delivery model, and they don't need to add overhead in terms of managing specific resources. So I need to manage like person X, oh, and he's in Europe, but he is part of my team, he is part of your team, then you need to pay special attention to him, then the delivery manager needs to consider, okay, this is the model I have for my US team, and this person X is like the like the third wheel. So this creates an overhead for me, then I have to manage him as well. But if you manage a team, if you have a team, you just put out what I need. This is your backlog. Own your backlog, own your scope, own your delivery, and give me delivery. And again, 5th year running, impeccable success. And commitment. Being a team that is involved and owning their part of the IT stacks creates commitment, because the team owns and respects that they own the delivery, that they own that piece of code or their application. So what's the benefit? Continuous improvements. Because if the team owns that piece of application, then the team themselves drive them to improve that piece of code, because we are talking about intelligent and proactive software developers and engineers that always are striving, and this is the culture that we want to, let's say, build upon, that they want to improve. And this is something that the teams by themselves do. Now, these are initiatives that are not part of, let's say, some specific project scope, but these are initiatives that the teams have created and have delivered, like test automation. We have delivered test automation on the front-end side, fully internal teamwork, just to help them in the automation process, but also to help the delivery model. Full regression testing on the billing side. Security. This is very important. Robert will also touch that, but the teams, are not focused on, okay, we delivered this, full stop, we are happy with it. But the teams themselves need to take care about versioning. What's, long-term support, end of support, and so forth. By bringing that attention on a team level, the team itself improves the applications, and hence we decrease the risk of security vulnerabilities. And of course, we deploy best practices, because of course then there is a positive how should I say, competition, because everybody wants to create the best possible code or create the best possible delivery, and of course to be recognized by the colleagues across the Atlantic. So that's one of the motivation factors. Performance. I think that no developer should be more interested in terms of optimizing performances. And if you own the application, or if you own the IT stack like we do, there is a never-ending focus. How do we improve the performance on the application? And especially because you will see later, we're talking about applications which are multi-platform, so every operating system, every browser, every type of device. So in this case, that's the motivation. That's how that's where we want our teams to consider. So refactor, clean code, deploy best practices, and so forth. So I've touched the 3 pillars on where and how we have been delivering our digital transformation projects. I'll just do a quick recap. I think I'm all more or less on time. And more or less these were the, let's say, high-level messages. Again, you will see now in the other sessions some exact benefits and some exact results of these digital transformation projects, which I'm highlighting as a scope of work. So trust, delivery, and commitment. It's no, and okay. So trust, delivery, and commitment. This is our approach on how do we think and how do we interact with our, I'm going to say partners. I'm not going to say clients. I'm going to say partners, because you know that every relationship and every cooperation, if you invoke relationship which are contractual, administrative, then it's doomed to fail. If you build upon trust, if you build upon a partner relationship, then we are building a process and a way of working which will last for years. And of course, we need to drive teams, and we need to drive the delivery and commitment. Of course, there is not a universal rule for that, because you have all types of technologies, all types of applications, and so forth. But with trust and with cooperation comes a formula for success. Because if we really engage, if we really focus to succeed, we can always find a way. I think I'm on time, and I think it's time for me to say thank you for your attention. I hope it was not like some monotonous facts. I think I gave you some interesting ideas and food for thought on projects, on delivery, and of course on how we've built our relationship. And on that note, of course, if there is now a question, I will be happy to take it, but of course we will have a joint Q&A session with Robert and some discussion panel on which, of course, you can also direct questions. Okay, then thank you very much for your attention. Robert, the floor is yours. Thank you. Let me start the presentation for you.
Hi, everyone. While he gets that swapped over, my name is Robert Charles. I work for Globalstar. We are a satellite communication company. I am the Director of Web and Software Development. And as I've talked with a couple of you, I've inherited a few other duties recently, but we're going to focus on the web and software development for now. Globalstar, we've been around for a long time, 32 years. Lately, our focus, as Dejan had mentioned, has become more towards the IoT side of the house. We have both commercial and retail devices, our IoT devices, oil rigs and trucks and tankers and things of that nature. On the retail side, we have our Spot Messenger services, which is more of a personal locator beacon, right, with SOS features. At current, we have closing in on 9,000 rescues of individuals in distress in very remote locations without any sort of cell coverage or anything of that nature. As I mentioned, we have the different varieties of our tools here. We've got the messengers, we've got the embedded devices, we've got the IoT devices, and it's across all industries. We have it in the forestry, the maritime, the governments. But here's what we're really here to talk about. Our partnership with Seavus has been very beneficial for us. Everyone in this room that has hired any sort of contractors or contracting companies knows that they don't always work out for you, right? There's going to be problems. He's mentioned the people that focus on the contracts and have to get the legal teams involved and all that. Fortunately, we have never had to have any sort of discussion like that with Seavus. They've been an invaluable partner, and I for one, am glad to have them. We do work amazingly well across all the time zones. I never feel like I'm out of touch with the teams on this side. Dejan and I work very closely together. We have our syncs for multiple teams because I don't just have a single team with Seavus. I have, is it 5 now? 5. I have 5 separate teams with Seavus working on 5 separate projects, and we laid out a roadmap this morning for our next year of projects. As Dejan mentioned, the deadline is really a deadline. And Seavus delivers on time, every time. I have zero complaints about that. The amazing thing about working with Dejan is going back to the communication. We are constantly striving to improve how things flow back and forth, because I also have teams in-house, and those teams in-house have to work with his teams. And across 5 different projects, it is an endeavor in and of itself. But we managed to make it work, and all of our projects are coming in on time. The BSS upgrade that Dejan mentioned was a massive undertaking. As we are a telco company, we do have phones aside from our IoT devices. He and his teams took everything that we had, and we've had in place for years, for several decades, and managed to upgrade them and deliver them on time, actually faster than expected. And everything is still functioning today, and it works flawlessly. We currently have many different portals for our customers to use, as well as our in-house teams. And with Seavus's help, we're managing, we're updating, and we're providing further integration with microservice APIs amongst all of them. This allows us to adapt and move more quickly when we need to add or remove features. We talked about the one just now, the BSS, the new My Account portal. This was a really difficult project to get kicked off, because my predecessor had started this project with another contracting company, and they were not working out for us. I talked with Dejan. He said, hey, I can put together a team for you. We'll get this taken care of. So he stepped in mid-project with his team and managed to bring everything and deliver it on the original timelines, and it's been a complete success. We have a whole new UI for our customers to use. It's mobile friendly. It works on everyone's devices. The old UI was a little more cumbersome. After we get all that accomplished, we implemented all the automated regression testing and everything to ensure that going forward we can seamlessly test our new code as well as our existing code, so that we don't introduce any new issues. So the integrated billing system we've talked about. We've also done automated reporting with them. Like I mentioned, I have 5 different teams. We have some legacy PHP type teams. We have Angular teams. We have Java teams. And they all work together, and they all work towards a common goal. He mentioned that they own everything end to end. And we as a company, and we as his partners, and he as our partner, we all own everything end to end. And that drives towards a common goal of producing good quality software, right? We take all that and we apply our business principles to it, and things just work. This is the new My Account portal. When they inherited it, it may be a little technical here, but the page size for a login page shouldn't be 16 megabytes. And that is a tremendous amount. That's what they inherited. It's now 906K, and it loads extremely fast, within seconds. We have improved accessibility scores. We're rolling out to Angular 14 now. Everything is clean and easy to use. All of the test automation has allowed us to roll out features in a much more rapid fashion. The test time for full regression tests are down from about 13.5 hours to 6 hours using the automated systems that they've developed. So we can run multiple full regression tests in a week before our release cycle on the next week. And that's pretty much it from my side of things. I just can't emphasize enough how important the team infrastructure that Dejan and Seavus have put in place, and how well that works for us as a company. Just because it doesn't feel like I have an offshore team, it just feels like I have a team, right, from my perspective. So, as he mentioned, I'm happy to talk with anyone individually. We can do the Q&A, and thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much. We can start maybe with our interaction, and of course, feel free to engage with us. Let's talk about security.
I didn't touch on security too much.
Because let's say your model of working is truly digital. Usually telcos, standard telcos have shops like in malls or headquarters, so you can go over there, you can just sign the paper contract, take the device, but you work truly digital. So portals and the UIs are your only way of interacting with customers. And of course, unfortunately, the world that we live in, security is not very ideal.
Yeah.
Everybody's like trying to compromise and so forth. So that's a major point in your way of operations, I think.
It is, and I'll be honest, I start some of my days thinking, I don't want to be that guy. And by that guy, I mean the guy that hey, did you hear what Robert's team did? Right? Or did you hear how Robert messed up? I start most of my days thinking, okay, how can I not be that guy? So in the security realm, right, it's obviously you don't want to be that guy. Every week I'm getting a new email. Hey, your username was compromised over here on this company. Or hey, T-Mobile has released all their user data again. So again, every day I try to be not that guy. So the Seavus team, and this goes back to us working as a whole, and not just like I said, not feeling like I'm offshore in my development. I have a team, and some of them just happen to reside on this side of the ocean. When they do all their development, they know that they're going to be maintaining this code, and they're responsible for it. So in my opinion, that leads to better coding, because if somebody's just trying to code you something quick, yes, I can go get a contracting company that can code me something super fast and dirty and get it out the door in a couple of days. But is it going to still work, or is it secure, right? All of those things are factored in, and our current teams take those into,
Yeah, I mean, we follow versioning, as I've mentioned. The team owning that, having that kind of ownership focus on an application, they by themselves, take care about versioning, about releases and so forth. So they pay attention. It's not something that you need to tell them, guys, we failed this or we failed that, but it's interaction. Which version are we in? Are you following let's say the trends on where that heads? Are there any known vulnerabilities and so forth? So by maintaining that, proactively maintaining let's say an application, that's how we avoid. And I mean, we are deploying best practices. We are following especially on the portals, because from my experience, portals are usually the most vulnerable. That's how you engage with a customer, but unfortunately, that's the door on which, let's say,
the bad actors can engage with you.
Yeah, so that they need to be they're the first line of contact, but they're also the first line of defense, because if you compromise portals, then you have an open door to your whole backend and so forth. So yeah, that security is very much important, and of course, you're a satellite company. You need to work 24/7, and you need to pay. Let's say, whether that's in Alaska or the Himalayas or a ship anywhere, services must run.
So that's the other thing, is we have to work 24/7, right?
Yeah.
If somebody pushes their SOS on their device and they're hanging off the side of a cliff, they need someone to come get them. They don't need someone to come get them 2 hours from now because I'm down for maintenance, or I've got a bug in the website and it crashed. Right, they need someone to come get them now. So our back-end systems, which obviously we still work with Seavus on those, they have to function 24/7, 365 days. I get 20 minutes of a year basically on some of my systems for downtime, and that's about it. So they always have to be up. They always have to be working, or people are just not going to get rescued. And that's just from the retail side. Obviously, the industrial side is a little different. That's people just need to know where all their stuff is, and that's also very important. So we keep that system up as well.
And what we now touched, it's interesting for you guys because usually telcos have a, let's say, regional focus. So it's like it's a telecom group, and it's either like stationed in Europe, maybe Southeast Europe, like these big telecom groups and so forth. But you as a company need to be present worldwide, and you need to have systems which are, let's say, customizable, because you cannot deploy a new billing system or a new portal or whatever for each country and for each regulative or so forth. So, I mean, on the billing system, that's why we call it integrated. We are hosting the billing rules and processes for every business unit which under which Globalstar is operating, and that goes for portals and so forth. And nowadays also with data protection, you need to pay special attention, and for European regulative, for North American regulative, and so forth, and taxation as well.
Oh yes, the EU keeps things interesting as far as data privacy laws go. Just keeping up with those is almost a full-time job.
Yeah, you need to pay attention to data privacy, to taxations, and so forth, because every country has its own local regulative taxations. That's why systems need to be flexible. You need to customize them, otherwise you're just off the market. That's it. Yeah. Again, it's been a great ride. That's what we're mostly proud of, the successful cooperation, and yeah, looking forward to many more projects. As you mentioned, next year is already planned and set up, and of course, many more years to come.
Does anyone have any questions on anything specific?
Discussion topic or questions, please?
Yeah, I've got a question for you. So you've got multiple teams, both internally within Globalstar and also from Seavus.
Yes, sir.
How are you allocating those teams in terms of code bases? Does everyone have their own dedicated sort of application or portal? Is it all segmented? Or do you have teams that are working on a common code base that are split between?
We have a little bit of a crossover, but for the most part, we have segmentation. The portal team for the new UI, that is all Angular. That team works on that only, right? At the current time, but going forward, yeah, as we were discussing this morning, that team is going to cross over into another code base and start working on that one as well. So at the moment, we're fairly segmented, but those lines are going to become more blurred as we move forward with new projects.
And then do you do a scrum of scrums, or how do the teams interact then?
Yeah, usually we do, of course, internal and cross scrums, but on dependencies, so we follow some very interesting rules. Of course, the first comes from using the dev tools, so each dependency must be visible. Let's say the backlog and the release is visible to everybody. So, like as you mentioned, we are not working because of the split difference. We are not working Scrum by the book. So we have to be honest, because it's we started, but it's not sustainable. So we're working our own way, Scrum-like way of working, as I've mentioned. On a team level, we do internal syncs. So each team has its own Scrum-like way of working, and then it cross-references with the Scrum way of working with Globalstar. So not daily basis, but usually a couple of times a week, that cross-correlation and synchronization. But on a more high level, so not like an agile release train or something like that, but projects and roadmaps and milestones are visible to all teams, and then they share, then we cross-reference, because usually our teams are actually correlated between ourselves. So the billing system is correlated with the UIs. So both teams are well synchronized between themselves, and of course, being part of this company, and eases up the communication. So we don't need to follow specific like Scrum alignment meetings or so forth, but the teams themselves engage. Hey, what's happening on that side? How are you progressing on that topic or on that feature and so forth? So we're not, again, working by the book in that Scrum way of working, we sort of during the BSS migration we had that type, but it was let's say it was a complex project that could not we could not let it deviate. You know, but that was a standalone project.
On other projects, we've discarded the portions that aren't useful or that are holding up the development, because Scrum is, I mean, it's a great thing overall, but there are certain portions of it that just don't apply to every project.
Exactly. And going forward, so when we pass this BSS migration, we could not let it deviate, but then we are relaxing. We are letting the teams decide which parts of Scrum do they think are useful, while we take care about the delivery, about the product backlog, about projects, and so forth.
And did you guide their business to build their requirements in an agile way? Or was your business sort of... Because one of our biggest challenges is the business isn't agile.
Oh, well, how many large businesses can truly claim, hey, we're agile, right? You can't.
The biggest challenge, I thought, if Seavus could inject people into your business to try to train them into that way of thinking, that might be a good...
It would be, and in theory, I think it's a great idea. In practice, as he mentioned, as a whole, right? Because we keep marketing involved. We have to keep our customer relations people involved at all time. Sales needs to know, because all of these portals and everything touch everything, right? Our customers are touching the portals. Sales is, you know, they're selling the IoT side of things as well as the retail side of things. Everything is fairly integrated, even though our code bases are kept fairly separate. But they all touch each other in some form or fashion. So it's a difficult thing, because we'd have to inject that sort of, and we have tried to. We have weekly releases, and everyone knows we're going to have weekly releases, and we send out our release notes, and everyone is aware, and the requirements, when we plan them out and map them out, who's going to work on them, we plan for when those releases will be. And in that fashion, all the other teams are aware, meaning marketing and CRM and stuff like that. Yeah, we don't have the truly agile company. I mean, I won't make that claim. I'm not going to stand up here and lie to you.
Thank you.
I've got another question, sorry, I feel like anyone. How do you deal with attrition? So one of our biggest challenges is keeping staff, and when they do move on, skilling up the next person.
Yeah.
Is there some weird and wonderful model you use, or
Yes.
just lucky?
Well, I'm happy to say that attrition on our project has been minimal.
It's been very minimal overall.
We haven't had attrition on the billing project, not on the portal.
But how would you?
Yeah. I'm getting to that. So, first of all, as a company, of course, you need to consider attrition is a serious risk. So when building a team, you need to build a team that is flexible, and that you have enough capacity. So we are not building a specific team that by the person will deliver that many hours and full stop. So that's the partnership and the delivery model. We are always building a team that is flexible enough to upscale or to downscale. So we are not building a team with exact number of people, an exact number of hours per month, full stop. We don't care about anything. Then if someone goes on vacation, or leaves, then we are in trouble. But by being transparent and saying we need the delivery of this application, this feature within a certain amount of budget, then we come to we make team planning with appropriate sizing, with appropriate let's say team structure, and that's how I would say at some end we have spare capacity within the teams, because we enable we give buffer capacity within the team. That's the first, of course, the first risk, that risk mitigation, that we undertake. And the second is that, as I've mentioned, we keep the teams motivated and transparent. Because people, now it's an open market, and especially with the remote way of working, people are just flying everywhere and so forth. But if we've managed to keep everybody motivated, by being transparent, by sharing, not only you're gonna use that Jira story or whatever, but we're keeping them involved. and motivated. And we've seen that actually works. You know, people get, maybe this is going to come out wrong, but people, you know, somehow relate to the project. You know, feel it as their own, that not just some Jira user story that you have to finish, but they own it. They feel it as a part of their work process and so forth. So basically, it's a combination of several risk mitigation factors. And of course, we at our side, we need to. I mean, we're interacting a lot in terms of where, and maybe that's also one important topic. We interact on where are we heading, what's the direction we're going to take. We're not talking about, let's say, the next couple of weeks or maybe next month or next quarter, but we're talking on a general technology level. So we are moving in, let's say, portals, and the technology of choice at this in this case is Angular. So we're planning, let's say, have capacity, build a team, and have the necessary spare buffer within the team. So it's a combination of different factors, I would say.
But from my personal perspective on keeping, retaining talent and even finding new talent, as you pointed out, it is, and in this market will continue to be a challenge, right? When you can offer my guy, you know, a $50,000 raise, right? Very few companies are going to be able to match that sort of raise in-house. Right? Now, I may have to pay the guy that I hired to replace him that, but matching that sort of raise is very difficult, and retaining talent is an ongoing challenge for all of us.
I have one final.
Yeah, please.
Please.
The security thing, it's very specialized. I
Yes.
feel, the security. Do you have dedicated security specialists that then join your teams, or you try to skill up the teams to be security specialists?
It's a multi-level approach. So first, within Seavus, we have a dedicated security team that monitors, you know, known vulnerabilities, technologies, and so forth. That can we can sometimes. Now, I'm not talking about this project, but I'm talking in general. So security specialist teams that can probe, that can analyze, that can simulate, you know, security vulnerabilities. So that's something we do have in the portfolio. On most of these cases, on this, so it's a matter of client choice, technology, and application. On these specific cases, so the first layer of course, not defense, but is within the team. The team working on that technology, owning that technology, are always constantly striving to follow up and to follow the best practices. And if they're doing that, we've seen that the possibility to fail or is very minimal. Now, in the background, yes, there are interacting with internal Seavus people, which are definitely involved, like technology line managers and technical leads and this security team, that provides like some deep specific info, like Log4j. We all remember that event. Mm-hmm. Was it this year or last?
Yeah, my sense of time is really messed up, so it could have been
mine as well. So apologize upfront on that. So on that was an interesting case. It affected Globalstar, I think, as well.
At a minimal level, most of the things that we had affected by that were internal resources.
Yeah.
That weren't externally accessible.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
they were impacted. So what, and also other clients were also impacted. So what did we do? Yes, and let's say for a Dutch client that we are also hugely cooperating with, it affects mostly, of course, Java-related technologies and so forth. So the team, of course, took charge in remedying, but at the same time, they were discussing in the background internally within Seavus and sharing best practices, because the client, of course, sees a vulnerability. So they are not working on, let's say, experiencing that kind of issues on a daily level. While on the other side, our teams, which are focused strictly on that technology, were able to immediately, take actions and consult and guide this front-facing team to overcome this vulnerability. And yeah, the impact. Okay, for Globalstar, as Robert mentioned, yeah, it was not huge, but for other clients, we successfully remedied and moved over that vulnerability.
So additionally, on the security front, we have internal automated code scanning that looks for all the normal stuff that stuff does. We have code reviews, and we have a security group. And our security group scans all the internal stuff when it's on dev, and they scan it on the external sites too, probing for vulnerabilities. On our front, we also have engaged HackerOne, right, the ethical hacking, right, and the bug bounty program. So we try and stay on top of everything in that manner.
Okay.
You got one more?
You have a bonus question?
Bonus question.
I have one more.
Yes, please.
Sure.
You mentioned about the latency, like 16 megabyte.
Yes, the portal size was 16 megabyte when we took over from.
Inherent problem.
Yes, it was inherited problem.
Yeah.
Because of a lot of unoptimized code, a lot of hard coding, a lot of not following the best. In short, not following the best practices.
A lot of duplicate code
Yeah,
too.
duplicate and a lot of underlying on obsolete technologies and so forth. So the task was to actually to dig in, to reverse engineer, to check where did this come from? Analyze, and then step by step clear out that clean and okay, I'm trash.
Was it microservices from the beginning or monolith code?
The portal I think was actually because it's a front end, it's a UI. At least the UI was a simple monolith application. The backend, yes, is segmented. Now we're moving into microservices APIs, but the portal itself was pretty straightforward. But the quality of the code was really bad. I have to say.
The old adage, you get what you pay for, is sometimes more true than people realize.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Great.
Done.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you for your attention. Thank you for visiting us and giving us the opportunity to showcase.
Can we have some snacks and drinks, please?
Yes. Now.
Talk to each other, talk to Dejan, talk to Robert, and thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.